Hey there, and welcome to the latest episode of the Mind Body Health Podcast with myself, Dave Sheahan, high performance consultant and dedicated for over 25 years now to educating, motivating, and inspiring people just like you to live their best lives, to become the best them that they can be, and importantly, to move towards happiness and live the reality, the life experience that you want to live, because it's there for you. It's there for the taking. It's there if you really want it. It's there if you've got the desire, determination, and the will to do whatever it takes to get there, because that's what it's all about. So hope you're well. Hope you're enjoying the podcast. If you're a regular listener, if you're a new listener, welcome. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope it gives you enough from this episode that you'll feel a need to go check out some of our other episodes where there's been so much great content. We cover all kind of aspects here: mindset, psychology, motivation, exercise, nutrition, sleep and habits, life, time, self-management, every kind of thing that's important in life to lead the best life you can, to have optimal health, optimal brain function, good psychology, positive mindset, and ultimately to be in control of your life and all aspects of it, and have a mindset of taking personal responsibility for it, because you are responsible for all areas of your life. You're responsible for where they are right now, you're responsible for where they've been before, you're responsible for where they're going, and every single action and behavior and decision will lead somewhere. It's like a domino effect. So it's very important that you grasp that and you take personal responsibility for where you are right now, because for far too many people, they don't. And, this is an important message I'm always drumming out there, that take personal responsibility. It's a choice, and there are no excuses, and there truly aren't. On this particular episode, I want to address something that you may or may not be feeling, which is, are you feeling okay? It's a question I want to ask you. Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling okay right now as you listen to this podcast? Maybe you're actually listening to this podcast because you don't feel okay and you're looking for that spark. You're looking for something to give you that little spark of motivation, that little bit of hope, that little bit of, energy, mental energy to just drive on and tackle a issue in your life. Or maybe it's just to tackle just living in general, because life can be tough. Life sure is a roller coaster. That's the best way to describe life. There's loads of great times and exhilarating times and wonderful experiences, but there's also so many challenges and obstacles and, things that are put in your way that really test you to your core. And, it's very hard when we're hit with these obstacles. Like, one thing we have to start facing the reality of is that obstacles, challenges, and problems are inevitable. They're an inevitable part of living. They're an inevitable part of life's journey. And they're even more inevitable and will be more frequent the more ambitious you are and the more you want out of life. So this is something we have to face, because for far too many people, and it's a society thing as well, it's like putting across that life can be perfect and everything can be great. And, it's like social media, again, is a huge culprit of this, that putting across, a lot of people put across this ideal life that they have as if everything's perfect and everything's rosy and nothing ever goes wrong. And that's complete true. That's untrue, and that's lies, because there is no one on this world, there has never been anyone, there will never be anyone who goes through life as a plain line, is a straight line in plain sailing. It does not happen. And like I said, the more ambitious you are, the more you want out of life, the more you have in life, the more chances that will come your way as well, because that's just part of it. Every journey towards any destination, any goal has its challenges and obstacles. So like I said, we have this false impression of how life can be. We have this false impression of how other people's lives are. And one thing that's important is comparison is the thief of time, is that it? Or joy, sorry. Comparison is the thief of joy. I think that's the phrase. Damn, I'm mixing up with procrastination, the thief of time, but comparison basically kills joy. Comparison will kill your energy. Comparison will just poison your mind. Never compare to others. The only way to ever use a type of comparison is if you're kind of, seeing someone else that they're doing something or achieve something or experiencing something, and you would truly like to have that. Use that as something that inspires you to drive on towards that. Don't ever have it that steals your energy, makes you feel bad about yourself. These are the things you have to avoid. You need to avoid, because again, it's like poison for the mind. And remember, our mind is the control tower. We have to prime our mind for success. We have to prime it with positivity. We have to prime it with focus and direction towards where we want to go in life. And we have to, prime it that predominantly as positive thoughts, or at least it can counteract negativity. Because as I said, challenge and obstacles and problems are inevitable. They're going to happen, and that's it. But what's really important is how you deal with them, how you react to them. And, I want to say to you right now, it's okay to not feel okay. Like, if right now you're feeling really down, you're feeling very anxious, you're feeling very upset, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling like there's no hope. I get you. I've been there many times over the course of my life. And like I said, the roller coaster of life where there's inevitable tough times. And I've had some very, very tough, dark times where I didn't want to continue. I didn't have any interest in it, and I had to really dig very, very deep to get myself out of certain dark situations and see that there potentially was light and see a little bit of light and then drive on towards the light. We have to never lose hope. We also have to stop hammering ourselves when we're in a bad place, because it's bad enough that we get to bad place, but then we start hammering ourselves more that we're in the bad place. And again, society makes us feel like there's something wrong with us. And it's not necessarily something's wrong with us. It's just that life is tough sometimes. And it's like, again, we're meant to be perfect. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be down some days. This is where self-awareness comes in. You'll have some days where you just don't feel up to it. You don't have any oomph. You don't have any kind of motivation to do anything. And if you can't get out of that, that's okay. You have to be okay with it. And as I always say to people, when you're in such a position, in such a mindset, focus on one positive, productive action step that you can take. Just one positive one that you can take, no matter how tiny, no matter what kind of one it is. The one thing is that you do something that's like a win for the day. You just want to get a win. Even if you only got one win, it only took you 2 minutes, it's still a progressive day. And the thing is, when you do something that's positive, when you get a bit of a win, it more often than not will drive you on and empower you to actually do something else and something else. And that's why, like I'm saying to you, it's about getting that spark. When we get into a bad place in our heads, and we're just not feeling okay, we have to, instead of, moping around, doing nothing, just feeling sorry for ourselves, we have to just go, look, I'm really not up for it, but what can I do? What one little thing can I do? What one action step can I do? And if you just do that, it's like with everything. The first step is always the hardest, but it's really hard when you're in a dark place. And the darker it is, the harder it becomes. But the thing is, you have to dig deep. You have to dig deep and take that step. Just decide that step and get that win under your belt. And if you do nothing else that day, that's fine. But more often than not, it will actually drive you on to do even more. That's the great thing about it. But it really does boil down to that you have to be okay with being okay, with not being okay as well, because it is actually okay. You're human. You're an emotional being. You are not perfect. You are not a robot. You do get affected by things. You get affected by people. You get affected by experiences in your life. You get affected by things that happen in your life, unexpected things that happen in your life. You get affected by your own psychology. You get affected by stuff that happened to you in the past that sometimes will come back to haunt you in the present. These are things that happen. We're humans. People have traumas throughout their lives, and it's very hard to have dealt with all of them, and put them to bed and made peace with them. Most people haven't, and they will rear their ugly head sometimes and really drag you down in the present, but it's because of the past. So these things that happen, this is why I stress all the time, every day is a precious opportunity to grow as a person. Every day is a precious opportunity to evolve, and we have to be grateful for it. We have to focus on constantly evolving. How can we become a better version of ourselves? Every single one of us can keep getting better. Every single one of us has our demons. Every single one of us has stuff in the past that holds us back. Every single one of us has times that we just don't feel like it. Every single one of us has different types of triggers, have different type of comfort zones, have certain things we're familiar with, we don't like moving from. Every one of us has different levels of resistance to change. Every one of us reacts differently to different challenging situations, in terms of negative thoughts, negative people, situations just arise. We are all totally different. So we have to become okay with the way that we react and the way that we behave. But what's important is that we do, at the same time, when we go to these places, react in the best way we possibly can. So it's like, on one hand, be kind to yourself, be self-aware of how you're feeling. Don't hammer yourself over it. Be kind, as I said. But at the same time, keep talking to yourself. That self-talk is so important. The way your mind works is so important, as I'm always stressing. But be kind to yourself and just, have that little motivational chat with yourself that, look, I'm just going to do one thing. I'm just going to do this thing. That's it. And I get that done. And that's progress for today. And if I do nothing else today, I'm happy with that. And that's what you need to do. Because as I said, you'll have days like that. Even if generally everything's cool, life is great, all aspects of your life, your relationships, your mind, body, health, your professional life, your financial situation, all of them are pretty good. Everything's swimming along well. You're kind of in a good place with everything. You will still have days you just don't feel like it, and days that, you don't feel good and you don't feel okay. And days you just don't have that oomph. Maybe you're overworked, maybe you're overstressed, maybe you're overthinking, maybe you had bad sleep for some reason. There's going to be days it's just going to happen. And you won't even be able to pinpoint sometimes why it's happening, because that's the way life goes sometimes. Sometimes there genuinely is no explanation. Sometimes we're just not aware of it. Sometimes we're in denial of what the explanation may be. And sometimes we're fully aware of what the explanation may be. But you're going to have days you're just not on it and you just don't feel like it. And, you're just not, it's not going to be a super duper productive day, but you can rescue it. That's the key thing. Always rescue every day. Okay. You don't want to finish days where you've literally done nothing, where you've just felt sorry for yourself and moped around and even done some destructive stuff, whatever that may be. People use all kinds of stuff, whether it be drink, drugs, whatever it might be. You might have days like that, but it can get to 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. You're going to go to bed. If it's been a day where it's just been a complete car wreck and a disaster, even at that late stage, do something that will be a win. It doesn't matter how tiny the win is. It's just to do it. And also, days that you don't feel like it in terms of doing your usual routines, depending on what kind of work or commitments you have, stuff that's kind of pretty, demanding of your energy or demanding of your emotions, stuff like that. If you're just not up for it, or you're not up for having set focus for a day or set tasks you have to complete for a day in terms of, real focused tasks, then just go for stuff that's not super important, but it's still stuff that would be good to get done. Like there's always be stuff around the house. Maybe it's just tidying up a little bit. Maybe it's just going for a walk because you haven't done that in a while. Whatever it might be. Like I'll tell you a story. There's one day, a long time ago, I was just having one of those days. I just didn't feel like it. I was sitting at a computer for hours. Nothing was happening. I just wasn't on it. It was very, very frustrating, but I kept at it because I was bloody stubborn and kept trying to turn it around. But I wasn't taking that pause. I wasn't pressing that stop button to step away and see what was going on and recharge and so on. I just went through the day like this, and the whole day was just a waste. If I hadn't woken up that morning, nothing would have been different. Like it was just a terrible day where nothing was achieved, nothing was really done. It was just a frustration, and I was consumed with negative emotions. But it got to about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I said, look, nothing's going to happen here. And I remember a friend of mine who's a coach had said many years before, look, whenever things aren't happening, just step away. And I didn't do this all day, but I decided at this stage, look, step away. Done. I'm not in the headspace. And I thought, look, I can't let the day finish like this. This is where I really started to take on board getting wins. This is one of the first times I did this many years ago. And I thought to myself, what's something I could do? And for many, 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 many months, I thought to myself, it'd be good to kind of get the air and press, organized. So it's not just stuff thrown in, it's some way organized into different types of clothes or whatever it might be, or towels, or whatever, not just a load of stuff lumped in to the air and press. I thought, you know what? I'm going to tackle that now. And as I had been months and months and months put off, because it wasn't a priority. It wasn't important. And even at that point, it wasn't important. Was it going to change my life? Was it going to make a difference? No. But it was going to be something that I'd said I'd do a long time before, and I did it. I went and did it, tidied it up, whatever it took me, 20 minutes, and I felt great after it. Now, like I said, it wasn't life-changing. It wasn't going to make a huge difference in any aspect of my life or my son's life. It was just something that could be done, but wasn't important to be done. But I did it, got it done. Something I intended doing for so long. And I felt great after it. And when I had it done, then, that made me feel good. I felt at peace, and I had finished the day strong, and I was able to sleep peacefully. Whereas if I hadn't done that, I would have just had negative emotions consuming me. It probably would have affected me getting to sleep. It would have affected me when I was asleep, and it would probably woke me up throughout the night because I'm having disturbed sleep. And then that carries on to the following day, where the next day I'm just feeling tired because of the night before and because of my frustrations. I probably would have carried over those negative emotions from the day before to the next day. And if I didn't get a grip on it fast enough, then that would have carried on for that day. And it could have been days and weeks, months even, where I would have had that mindset of just not feeling like it. Because it can really be a poison to the mind. Like, as I said, be self-aware and be okay with yourself not having a good day and just not feeling it, but be very aware too that, if you let it take over, you let it become like a full day, 2 days, you're starting to get into danger zone and slippery slope. This is why you have to grasp it. You have to decide to do something that's going to be positive in the right direction. That's going to help you. That's going to help you see that little chink of light, even when things are really, really dark. And when you start moving towards that light, what happens then is, you start to see more light and more light and more light, and then it's bright, and then things are much better. And that's just how things work. And remember, you're an emotional being, you're human, you're not a robot. This is why I'm stressing you. Be self-aware. Be okay with not feeling okay. It's perfectly okay. It's going to happen many times, but how you react to it is so important. And that's my one big piece of advice to you is when you don't feel okay, just identify one thing you're going to do that day. It doesn't have to be, as I said, anything life-changing, like me tidying up an air press. Didn't matter if I ever did it in my life. You know, it didn't matter. In the big scheme of things, it didn't matter. Of course, some people who were a bit OCD would go mad at it not being tidy and organized. But in terms of the big scheme of things, it didn't really matter. But I did it. It was a win, and it changed my mindset completely. It flipped it. So, that's my message to you on this particular podcast. One, be okay with not feeling okay some days. Be self-aware to realize that that's what's going on. Be self-aware to realize that it's just a day you're not going to have a lot of productivity. You're not going to make loads of progress. You're not going to tackle certain projects. You're not going to get certain things done. But push yourself to get some things done, whatever it may be. As I said, not life-changing, but things done. Tidy up, make something. Like what I often do now when I'm not having a good day, I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll just go off and I'll do some baking or cooking, put on some music that uplifts me, and maybe try a few new recipes. So at least at the end of the day, I have a bit of batch cooking done. I've made some nice food. I've tried some new recipes. So again, they're little wins. Again, nothing mad important, but it's just if I'm not in the right headspace, there's no point banging your head off a wall. No point sitting at a computer doing nothing. No point trying to solve problems that, or you're not going to solve in that particular frame of mind. Instead, do something that will give you a bit of a boost, will uplift you, will give you a bit of enjoyment, will be a little bit of a win. And then piggyback off that and be empowered by it and energized by it to then move forward, as I said, towards the light. Because no matter how dark things are, there's always that little bit of chink of light, and you just have to move towards it. So as I said, this particular podcast, it's okay to not feel okay. I hope this podcast has helped you. I know everyone goes through this at some stage or another. So anyone who listens to this, it should strike a chord. I hope this helps you. Do let me know. Your feedback is so important to me. Contact me across any social media or an email or the contact form on my website, Dave Sheahan, or DaveSheahanHighPerformance.com. Leave a rating, review this podcast. If you enjoyed it, please share it out there. People need to hear these messages. If you're new, make sure you check out previous episodes. If you've missed any episodes, check them out too. There's loads there. I'm doing everything I can to provide as much content as I can on this podcast as well across social media to help you to make a positive impact. And I hope it is doing that. So take care. Look forward to getting your feedback and your questions, and look forward to speaking to you on the next episode of the Mind Body Health Podcast.